weekend, huh? Big weekend. Big weekend. And look, I'm gonna talk about the big game. I'm gonna talk about the big game because I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm talking about Puppy Bowl 22. Are you serious? It delivered on everything. It was everything I could hope to. I'm talking, first of all, congratulations to Team Fluff. Dominating victory by Team Fluff. They just look great. They just looked like the more experienced team out there. I mean, this game had it all. This game had it all. The disabled division, ridiculously cute. Three-legged dogs, blind dogs, dogs that couldn't close their mouths. Amazing, amazing action. Amazing action. We had a double roughing. Two dogs tackled each other in the middle of the field, away from the play. Awesome. Two dogs synchronized a pee break. That was spectacular, obviously. Obviously, one 6-week-old golden lab fell asleep on the field. Amazing. What about the cat VIP lounge? Are you serious? Cat DJs? Those cats were vibing. Amazing. Just amazing action. Honestly, I just can't tell you how much I enjoyed the Puppy Bowl. Delivered as advertised, baby. Oh, by the way, I told you about that CNN reporting that was reporting on the upcoming Puppy Bowl, and I told you Breanna Keeler and Tapper, they all had puppies in their laps. Keeler adopted hers. Breanna Keeler adopted the puppy that she had on the... That's awesome. So, yeah, kudos. Puppy Bowl, once again, you delivered. As far as the Super Bowl goes, well... Let's just put it this way. I mean, I'm going to talk about it because there are things about it, specifically the halftime show, that I do want to talk about that I think are relevant. I mean, you had a shared experience, 127 million viewers. I think that's something that's worth discussing, especially with such obvious political overtones all over the place. But the game itself, what else? What could we expect from a second year quarterback? Although Drake May was really good all year long, he was especially strong in the playoffs. Honestly, this was a big spot for a young man. Vrabel, coach of the year, he already won it. Has proven himself to be a proficient coach, even with the Titans. But again, this spot, it might have been too much for this young Patriots team. Congratulations to the Seahawks. I do like to see a Sam Darnold Super Bowl victory. That's pretty cool. Kenneth Walker, MVP. All right, fine. Seahawks D won that game. Period. That game was so boring that for the first time in my entire life, I fell asleep through a small portion of it. I fell asleep through the second quarter. Woke up for the halftime show. Puppy Bowl was going on all day prior to that. Don't think I missed a minute of that. Puppy Bowl 22, amazing. No, but so the halftime show. Let's talk about the halftime show because there are things to talk about here. And we're not going to spend all day on the halftime show, but I do want to bring up a few points. Again, gigantic shared experience. We don't really have too many of those anymore. Randy used to talk about that quite a bit, how we don't share anything anymore, but we still share the Super Bowl. 127 million viewers. Okay. All right, so the halftime performance, I thought it was good. Scotty and I, man, we went through a montage of every Super Bowl halftime show since 1990. I suggest you find one of those. It was really cool. I mean, the nostalgia, it was a really cool thing. But I thought it was okay. I thought it was pretty good. I thought the dancing, the choreography was awesome and really well executed. I'm not a giant Bad Bunny fan. Scott likes him a little more than I do. A lot of people like him. Obviously, I'm not a huge fan. I like what I like. I don't really find myself going and finding and searching out Bad Bunny music. Don't really do it. Don't really go looking for him much. If it's on, I won't turn it off. He's okay. Whatever. He's okay. The show itself was okay. It was pretty good. I like Kendrick more. I like Dre more. I liked, there's other ones I liked more. The Billy Joel one I really liked. What else? What other ones did we say? Or was it Springsteen? Well, yeah, I really like The Weeknd. I really like The Weeknd. That's one I thought was one of the best ones recently. But there's I was a huge fan of Travis Tritt. Now, there were some that I liked more than others. There were some. Oh, the Coldplay I actually did like that one. Didn't like Rihanna too much. Whatever. So this one, it was good. It was good, not great, in my opinion. There was a lot going on. The sets were cool. I'm sure a lot of you saw it. And there were stars when they did a little part where they're dancing. All those people are dancing on top of the roof of that casita. They're dancing. It was Pedro Pascal, Jessica Alba, Carol G, some other people. They were all dancing up there. So there was some celebrity appearances. I was delighted to find out all of the plants that they were dancing, the fake sugarcane plants. Those were all people dressed up in plant costumes. And watching them hit the field and get off the field, the speed and efficiency with which they did it was kind of cool. Anyway, so there was a lot of symbology, a lot of symbology going on. There was one part where, by the way, I thought this was really cool. Two people actually got married during the performance. That was cool. I was wondering with my wife, do you think they're actually getting married? Is that just performative? Nope, those two actually got married there during the halftime. That's pretty cool. At the beginning of the whole thing, or at the end of the whole thing, he declared, "God bless America," named every country in all the Americas, right? Named his motherland, Puerto Rico. He's Puerto Rican, and said the only thing more powerful than hate is love. And when I saw that in my mind, I immediately had the voice of MAGA in my head saying, "Challenge accepted. You think your love is more powerful than my hate, Bad Bunny? Challenge accepted." And I just immediately in my mind a response to that. But there was some other moments. There was one moment where they had a little boy sitting in front of a television. That television was running Bad Bunny's Grammy acceptance speech where he said "Ice Out" and some other things. And the little boy was watching it. The little boy himself looked very much like Liam, who was the 5-year-old incarcerated by ICE in Minneapolis last month. Looked just like Liam, dressed just like Liam, looked a lot like him, and Bad Bunny handed that little boy his Grammy. So that was a pretty profound moment, I would say. I thought it was pretty profound. I thought it was pretty cool, him making statements, just like Kendrick did last year, subtle, not so subtle political statements in the middle of their performances. That's brave. That's quite a stage to take any kind of stance, and I appreciate him for doing this. I really, really do. You know who else I appreciate is Lady Gaga. Now, if you know me, you know that I'm not a giant Lady Gaga fan. I've had some things to say about her. I've spoken to people around me about some things she said in interviews. I'm not going to get into all that, but I'm not a giant Lady Gaga fan. Her voice is nice. She has a good voice, but I really appreciate her coming out here. I really, really did, because she didn't have to. Okay, she knew what the political climate was going to be. She knew who was watching and who wasn't. She is a megastar, multi-millionaire, multi-Grammy winner. She's as big as stardom gets. She did not need the PR, the press. She didn't need the attention. She could have just as easily had stayed out of it. And she injected herself, rather, in the middle of it. And to me, that is a form of bravery. To me, it is. She could have so easily have just stayed out of it. And there was also a part where Ricky Martin came out. That guy. She Bangs. Is that Ricky Martin? No, what's his name? What was Ricky Martin's big hit? It's not She Bangs, what I'm talking about. Live and La Vida Loca. Thank you, Scott. I'm not a giant Ricky Martin fan. What do you want from me? I was like, Scott,
lying, Brett.
What are you accusing me of?
I'm telling you that you don't need to lie to be cool, buddy. We all accept you. We know that you are a huge Ricky Martin fan. I knew you back then. You used to wear the shirts, the button-down shirts. You had the little frosted tips in your hair.
Did I? Frosted tips?
Yes, you did.
What, did I frost my afro? Shut up. Yeah, I Live in La Vida Loca was Tony and I's wedding song. I'm a big liar. No. But he came out, and he did Apagón, or Blackout. And that was in tribute to the Puerto Ricans who had died. About 3,000 Puerto Ricans had died in Hurricane Maria. And there was an empty chair next to Ricky as he performed. That was, it was symbolic of those victims, okay? And that was pretty profound as well. And me and my wife, he came on, and it took us at least a good 20 seconds. Is that Ricky Martin? I think that's Ricky Martin. And then I get man, he looks really good for his age. Watch out. Didn't appreciate that little bit out of Tony. Oh, he looks good. He looks good for his age. Moving on. I thought that was pretty cool. At one point, he was carrying a football, and I didn't see it at the time, but I saw it later. On the football was a message, "Together we are America." How dare you, Bad Bunny? How dare you? Just disgraceful, right? Trump hated it. Trump hated it. Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio. That is Bad Bunny's real name. He is Puerto Rican. He has been going at the Trump administration for a while now, culminating, crescendoing into his Grammy acceptance speech, Ice Out. So Trump doesn't like him. Trump doesn't like Benito. Doesn't like him already. And he didn't like his 13-minute performance. Didn't like it. Now, the New York Times described the performance as, and I like this, this is why they do what they do, a kaleidoscopic blast of merriment, a showcase of some of the most ecstatic and celebratory aspects of Latin culture. Boom. Mic drop. That's how you do it in New York. I felt that was very accurate. Merriment, aspects of the Latin American culture, the whole deal. I thought it was, yeah. And the choreography was good, and it was tight, considering how many dancers they had going at one time. The choreography was tight. I appreciated that as well. What did Trump say? What did Trump have to say? Because he was real time. He was real time. Said the show was absolutely terrible, adding that it doesn't represent our standards. He called the show an affront to the greatness of America and a slap in the face to the country. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was fun. He suggested that Bad Bunny's lyrics were unintelligible to most. Really? Okay. Well, let's talk about that, Mr. President, for just a second, because I think this is an appropriate time to bring up just who understood it and who didn't, who was for and who it wasn't for. First of all, you can look at the broad numbers. 20% of Americans are Hispanic, of a Latin American descent. 20% of American citizens are Hispanic. So if you really want to be fair about things, we should have a Hispanic performer 1 in every 5 Super Bowls. But put that aside. Put that aside. If you want to be real fair about it. But put that aside. Let's talk about who understood Bad Bunny and who didn't. 44% million Americans, 44 million Americans speak Spanish as their primary language. And 25 million American citizens whose primary language is English also fluently speak Spanish. That's 60-something million Americans. That is 1 in 4 Americans, Mr. President, completely understood the words he was saying. It's a pretty considerable amount. Not everything is for you, Don. Not everything is for you. Some things are for other people. And we're talking about 60-something million Americans who understood every single word. Okay? Boom. Let's just keep that in mind as you, tear down the performance and call it unintelligible. Before the game, he called Bad Bunny a terrible choice for the halftime show. All it does is sow hatred. No, Don, that is your job. That is your job, Don, to sow hatred. I mean, let's just take a look at an executive order you signed in March, declaring English to be the national language. Okay, first of all, that seems pretty obvious. Not something that needs an executive order. But secondly, and more bigly and strongly and quickly, it's clearly a shot at those who don't speak English that are in this country. You are meant to belittle. Cruelty is the point of all of this. And we all see it clearly for what it is. And a little fun fact, just want to toss this on the end. I'm going to be that hyperbolic, radicalized panicking who's going too far for just a second. Just a fun fact. Hitler banned Polish, Danish, Serbian, Czech, Yiddish, and a handful of other languages from being spoken in schools, courts, government offices, and on all public signage. I just felt like non sequituring into that fun little fact. Not that it has anything to do with Don's little March executive order or anything. Not like it's a parallel step to that. Just saying. I do want to give Turning Point USA's an all-American halftime show. A little bit of room to breathe here. Probably not even all of next segment. I'm going to give it just a small room to breathe before we move on to some of these other developing stories. And there are other developing stories. They are developing. They are growing up. Some of our babies are growing up into full-fledged deals in Congress, and I'm loving every second of it. And we will get to all of that. But I will give their weirdo, fringy halftime show a little bit of room to breathe because I want to laugh and point fingers a little bit. Sorry. Schadenfreude is very real, and every now and then I am a merchant of the Schadenfreude, and sometimes I use my platform right here to do it.
It's time for a quick break, then we break some more. You're listening to Brett Breaks. Brett breaks things, fighting for America one mic drop at a time.
Scotty, do you remember what he called him? What the president called that Olympian? He called him a loser or something like that, right?
He did call him a loser,
What's that?
Yeah, he did call him a real loser. Was it not just a loser? A real loser.
Speaking of one of our Olympians, it was. And we can't pull the sound because it's copyrighted, right? We're gonna get pulled down, right? So we can't pull the sound of this Olympian, but you can go check it out. And what he said, it's so funny to me. And I told this to Scotty. It's so funny to me what that Olympian said. What was his name? Oh,
yeah. His name is Hunter Hess.
Hunter Hess, thank you.
Yeah, what he actually said was, there's obviously a lot going on, and that I'm not the biggest fan of, and think a lot of people aren't. If it aligns with my moral values, I feel like I'm representing it, but just because I'm wearing the flag doesn't mean I represent everything that's going on in the U.S.
So that is a verbal Rorschach test. That's what that is. You hear it, and how do you interpret it? When you've got the president coming out and calling him a real loser and other people denigrating him on social media, well, guess what? Then you're the one he's talking about. If you were like me or Scotty or anybody else with a little bit of a moral compass, you know that he's not talking about you as the aspect. If Trump is sitting here being like, he's talking trash about me, well, I guess you're the amoral aspect of America then he's talking about then, isn't he? As you just self-identified. It was like a verbal Rorschach. He didn't name names. He didn't give any specifics. He said there are amoral aspects of America that I don't get on board with. Well, guess you just identified yourself as those aspects, Mr. Trump. And J.D. Vance got booed at the Olympics. And Trump said to that, he goes, oh, J.D. got booed at the Olympics? I hadn't heard that. People like J.D. I'm surprised. Come on, bro. You don't even like J.D. Shut up. People like JD. Get out of here, please. All right. So the All-American halftime show. Yeah, I'm going to point and laugh and point my finger and laugh at these people. Of course I am. Of course I am. Because there was a handful of funny little aspects to this. First of all, they announced on their X account that at the last second, X won't be carrying the All-American halftime show. I thought that was a little ironic. They went to X to say we're not going to be on X. Sorry. And that was a huge hit. They were going to stream on X, and then there were some licensing issues, and they couldn't stream on X. Boom. So, and they went to X to tell people that they won't be on X. I thought that was funny. So they asked people to head over to their YouTube channel instead. There was a lot of questions on whether it was pre-taped and not actually a live halftime show. There was a lot of things notable that led to these accusations, speculations. There was no introductions to the acts, although it at times showed a live crowd, including Don Jr. He looked so. I will say Don Jr.'s got one of the more high-functioning lizard human suits. The lizard people, some of their suits are failing them, like Mitch McConnell's suit fails him every now and he stops talking and freezing. Some people's suits are just better than others. Kash Patel's suit is terrible. They need to overhaul the Kash Patel suit. But the Don Jr. suit's working. He was sitting there pumping his fists with some other people. So the crowd looked live. But then there was no introductions and no switchovers from one act getting off the stage to the next act getting on. It just cut right to the act that was supposed to be live. They're grifting their little halftime show as well. Crazy. There was what some felt to be an awkward moment because this thing wasn't billed as a Charlie Kirk tribute. It wasn't advertised as that. It wasn't billed as that. It was advertised strictly as an alternative halftime show for MAGA and Turning Point USA fans, whoever doesn't like Bad Bunny, whoever they tried to get. But then it immediately turned into a Charlie Kirk tribute, which some people found a little bit weird. Jack Prosabic was there. He said, "This one's for you, Charlie." That was, but to be fair, Bad Bunny turned portions of his halftime show into a tribute to the Puerto Rican victims of Hurricane Maria. So both sides did that. Let's just be fair for a second, right? One awkward part was, who the hell is Gabby Barrett? And that was echoed throughout social media, during the entirety of the show. Gabby Barrett was a big headliner of this thing, and nobody knew who she was. She finished third place in American Idol. And to be fair, once again, she did break some weirdo country music streaming records. So I guess she's popular on social media, but some people didn't know her. A lot of people didn't know her. Just some of the real-time comments during the show. Who is Gabby Barrett? Never heard of her. We watched just to be one less viewer of the Super Bowl halftime show. Even had to grok Gabby Barrett. Did anyone else think Gabby Barrett was Erica Kirk tonight before she started singing? No, just me? Okay. This I did want to bring just a little attention to. So Barrett's song, see, this was supposed to be billed as like a wholesome, family-friendly event. Some of Barrett's lyrics, they're about, I hope your new girlfriend cheats on you like you did me, right? And some people are like, what is this song about? And then there's Kid Rock, okay? He did Ba with the Ba. Go check out the lyrics of Ba with the Ba. Go check out the lyrics of that little ditty and let me know if you feel like it's wholesome family entertainment. One viewer wrote this. Just want to reiterate, the wholesome alternative to Bad Bunny's Spanish language performance was rapping about topless dancers and G's with 40s and chicks with beepers. Pack up your self-righteousness, pack up your self-righteousness and take a hike, Turning Point USA. This is a bad joke. And I also want you to know, Mr. Headliner Kid Rock, he had a song called Cool Daddy Cool. And in that song, this is going to shock you. In that Trump apologist, hardcore conservative wacko's song were these lyrics. Young ladies, I like them underage, see? Some say that's statutory. I say that's mandatory. Just thought I'd share that little ditty with you. Freaking Kid Rock. Oh, and he was lip syncing, by the way. That was pretty obvious. They got to grift. They got to grift everything. They got to cheat everyone. It was okay, so 5.2 million people of the 127 million people that watched the Super Bowl watched that. MAGA got about 4%. They got about 4% of the Super Bowl audience to come over with them. That's pretty embarrassing. Also embarrassing is that Trump himself watched the Bad Bunny show. How do we know? He was tweeting about it in live time. It was ridiculous. You can go find it if you want to go find it. Knock yourself out. But Trump didn't even watch it. So how about that? That's all the time I'm going to give it to Breathe. All right. Okay. Let's move on to some of the other business of the day. Little non sequitur. Oh, man. We are going to talk about this whistleblower complaint. It keeps getting better. It keeps getting better and clearer. Thank you, lawyer for the whistleblower, Andrew Bacage. This guy knows how to play the game. He knows how to be vocal. He knows how to keep it pushing, keep it moving. He's done this before. People in the intelligence community, it is well known amongst them that if you have a very sensitive whistleblower complaint, Andrew Bacage is the guy to go to, period. He's the number one. He's the best. And it's starting to become evident why. And Andrew Bacage right now is staying step for step legally with what the Gang of Eight and the oversight committees are finding out about this report. Early Andrew Bacage, when he gave the complaint over to the ODNI and the ICIG, the Intelligence Community Inspector General, he was mum's the word. It's all classified. I can't even tell you what I know or don't know. But then as more people started to get their hands on it and more things started to become public, Bacage keeps staying right in step with the visibility, the transparency of this report and matching it and telling you how to interpret what you're hearing from Congress and these inspector generals. He's translating it for you. He's giving you insight on it while staying safe and secure and not divulging classified information. He's doing this very, very delicately and professionally, and this is why intelligence community members go to this guy. Okay? And more intel is coming out. Now that more members of Congress, last Tuesday, Congress got their hands on the complaint. That's important to delineate. Congress, the Gang of Eight, the Oversight Committee, they got their hands on the complaint, the Intelligence Committee, not the report detailed in the complaint. Well, more things are coming out about the report that caused all of this. And that is what we are going to get into. And Backlash starts talking about it, and other people start sniffing around this, and members are starting to argue about what this all means, and Gabby's role, Tulsi's role in it, Gabbard's role in it. Not just her role in the report, but her role in stiff-arming this report from getting to the Gang of Eight personally. Her office delaying the Gang of Eight from getting their hands on this report. All right. So, just to be clear before we go into the next segment where I'm really going to get into this, a whistleblower hires Andrew Backlash because he's got a complaint. He's got a complaint. An intelligence official has a complaint about Gabbard, and it's important to be oriented. The complaint itself is two-part. One, that someone from DNI took a sensitive intelligence report straight to an executive authority, bypassing the generals and other intelligence officials within the NSA and the CIA, not giving it to them, going straight to an executive official. The other part of the report, according to this whistleblower, is that there is a person who knew about it, a lawyer. In the NSA, it turns out, a lawyer who knew about everything that happened, knew about somebody in the DNI, somebody within DNI, the ODNI, the Office of Department of National Intelligence, somebody within that office got this intelligence report and went straight to the White House or executive official. That's the two parts. One, that they did this, and two, somebody who knew should have said something. There is a one person specifically who saw this go down, whose job it is to say something, did not, and possibly facilitated it. Okay? So if you didn't see the show, or you're not up to date exactly where we are right now, that is the whistleblower complaint. That is the complaint. It is Gabbard, having been revealed through publicly made portions of this, through Backlash, through people familiar with the matter. It is Gabbard. It is Gabbard in the complaint. Gabbard got highly sensitive intel and did not give it to generals and did not give it to the CIA or the NSA, but went straight to the White House. That part is now confirmed. Went straight to the White House.
You're back with Brett Breaks Things, because silence isn't an option.
All right, we're all oriented. You know what the whistleblower complaint involved. So now I'm going to tell you the details that have come out about the report itself that Gabbard did not distribute properly and went straight to the White House with. The report itself was between two foreign agents. Okay, two members of foreign intelligence. The NSA flagged and recorded the NSA. They got them. They got two foreign intelligence agents discussing a person close to the president. Okay, this has been reported. This has been made public. A lot of this was given to the Guardian first and foremost. So a lot of this reporting here on this new stuff, thank you, Guardian. I don't know whoever they've got, giving them info that they're deep inside, because this is really exclusive reporting by them, and a very well done job. So it was the NSA intercepts a phone call between two foreign intelligence agents about a person close to Donald Trump. Okay? It goes on. Tulsi Gabbard received this intelligence report from the NSA. And this is where the NSA is involved. Some person handed Tulsi Gabbard this highly sensitive report. Gabbard then goes to White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles with that report. And then an executive decision was made. That is yet to be reported. But an executive decision was made based on the report that Tulsi Gabbard handed Susie, okay? One day after Wiles gets this report from Gabbard, Gabbard then goes back to the contact in the NSA that she got it from and instructed that person not to publish the intelligence report. Boom, bury it. That person, that NSA contact, that person who handed her the report, then got it back from her and was told to bury it, that is the person also mentioned in the whistleblower complaint. Redacted. A lot of what the Gang of Eight got right now so far has been redacted. But again, Backlash and these people familiar with the matter, they are leaking the details without getting themselves in trouble to this point. Okay. All right. So now we know what the whistleblower complaint is and who is involved. Backlash himself said, the NSA picked up a phone call between two members of foreign intelligence involving someone close to Trump. The NSA does not monitor individuals without a reason. The person close to Trump is not understood to be an administration official or a special government employee. Okay. All right. What does Gabbard's office have to say about this and these new details? I'll tell you. This is what they said. A press secretary for the Office of Director of National Intelligence said this. The story is false. Every single action taken by DNI Gabbard was fully within her legal and statutory authority, and these politically motivated attempts to manipulate highly classified information undermine the essential national security work being done by great Americans in the intelligence community every day. That's their trick. If you believe these lies about the NSA, then you are disrespecting everybody in our intelligence community. You see how they attach it? If you didn't like the bombing in Iran, you are disrespecting the pilots that flew those bombing missions. See what they do here? Every time. This is one of their go-tos. Amazing. They continue. This is yet another attempt to distract from the fact that both a Biden-era and Trump-appointed intelligence community inspector general already found the allegations against DNI Gabbard baseless. Okay. And that's what they're going to lean on. We talked about Tamara Johnson, the interim intelligence community inspector general, who originally got this report. And a little bit after she got this report, she made two determinations, did Tamara Johnson. One, the allegations against Gabbard was not supported with enough evidence. And two, I don't have enough information to make a decision on the second part of the complaint, which is a person facilitated this that should have blown the whistle earlier, that should have gone to every other outlet with this information, right? So the second part of that complaint, Tamara Johnson said, I can't make a determination on whether to give this full complaint to the Gang of Eight because I can't right now determine. Sorry, she kicked the can. She kicked the can packed with C4 and dynamite down the road for Mr. Fox, the sitting ICIG. Okay? It is It is not for your office or Tamara Johnson's office anymore to decide whether these claims are baseless. Sorry. You missed your chance to do that nice and tightly. Tamara Johnson missed her chance to just say the whole thing is without evidence and put it to bed. This wouldn't still be an issue. But she kicked it. Christopher Fox kicked it. And most importantly, and the other issue with this report, Tulsi Gabbard's office kicked the can. They kept stiff-arming Andrew Bacaj from releasing this report himself to Congress. Yes, there is a legal avenue for this whistleblower and his lawyer to circumvent the ICIG altogether. And that is, they can release this information to the Gang of Eight themselves. But to do so requires legal counsel from the ODNI, the Office of the Department of National Intelligence. That office, Tulsi Gabbard's office, has to give Bacaj legal counsel on how to release this information securely. And they didn't. And they didn't. Month after month, Bacaj kept pleading to them, give me your counsel. I need advice. I need to release this. Please give me your final counsel. Nope, no. All the way to December when it got too damn big. And then in December, Tulsi Gabbard says, well, first of all, it was my legal team that just could not come to a decision on how to release this information. It was so complicated and so volatile that they just couldn't come to a decision, so they couldn't give Andrew Bacaj any counsel. Sorry. Also, I had no clue. This is the first I'm hearing of any of this. I had no clue about any of this. But now that I do know, I'll be sure to give that legal counsel soon. We're past that now, Tulsi. The Gang of Eight got the redacted report Tuesday. And Mr. Bacaj is like a dog with a bone with this. He still wants to release the whole thing unredacted. He wants it all released unredacted. He doesn't just want the redacted version given to the Gang of Eight. He wants to unredact the whole report and make it public to everybody. Share it with news outlets, everybody. Which is his legal right to do so with the right steps, the right legal counsel, which is Gabbard's office still. Even though he's given the redacted version to the Gang of Eight, he is still pleading with Gabbard's office to allow her lawyers to give him definitive counsel on how to release the whole thing. And he wrote to them, as you are well aware, our client's disclosure directly impacts our national security and the American people. This means that our client's complete whistleblower disclosure must be transmitted to Congress, and that we, as their counsel, speak with members and cleared staff. And Bacaj said, Friday, they still hadn't responded. They aren't even responding to him. Won't even get back to him. Now that they're under fire, I mean, why be complicit now, right? If you're Gabbard's office, you're already in trouble. We already know it's you. We already know who you gave the information to. It's been made very clear how you personally stopped this information from getting to Congress. All of this is becoming clear. So why be complicit now, right, Tulsi? Why give Bacaj what he wants now? He is the author, the architect of all this trouble for you. Why be complicit now, right? I get it. I understand. Makes sense to me, Tulsi. So, it's not clear what country these two foreign intelligence agents were from. It's not clear yet. But, and here's where I'm going to try not to break my arm patting myself on the back. I'm going to try. When we first heard about a whistleblower report coming in, and it involved DNI, NSA, and executive decision-making, we made big, wild guesses. We took a couple giant swings. And I sat here on the show, and I said, on this show, I think Tulsi got something and went straight to Trump with it, and he made a decision based on that information, and she didn't share it with anybody. That was one guess I made. Bingo. The other guess I made was that it was either something to do with the Gaza Strip or Iran. Well, how about that? The whistleblower report was drafted in May, right around the time the Trump administration was deliberating about a strike on Iran. The identity of the person close to Trump could not be immediately determined, nor could the content of what they were saying. So we don't know what exactly they said, and we do not know exactly who they're talking about close to Trump. But somebody close to Trump had something to do with Iran, apparently, and it was brought to Trump's attention in a manner that was not consistent with how data is shared with the intelligence community. Given straight to Susie Wiles. Okay. All right. So there are some officials who are coming out that are familiar with the matter, all of them anonymous, that are kind of defending Gabbard here. So we're hearing from some people in defense of Gabbard. One official said there was no other intelligence that led officials to think the two agents had been speaking truthfully. Okay. Some intelligence analysis concluded the two foreign nationals were either gossiping or deliberately spreading disinformation. Now that's how you do it, right? If you're a loyalist within the DNI or within the NSA, if you're one of the foot soldiers, you go running to the New York Times, right? And you go and you push the narrative. You go running to the New York Times and you say, New York Times, I'll tell you about some of the discussion, some of the unreleased stuff. Well, here's the thing. We, inside the NSA, we didn't think they were telling the truth. We thought even that they were deliberately spreading disinformation. That's a little nugget from me to you. Go run with that. Go run with that. Yeah. And that's why the ICIG couldn't determine any of this was viable. Yeah, go run with that, New York Times. She's innocent.
Breaking politics, breaking narratives, breaking news. But first, we need a coffee break. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things, pushing back, speaking up, and holding the line.
Okay, so lawmakers are pushing. They're pushing. They want to know more. They want an unredacted version of this whistleblower report. They want to know what Gabbard did, what she didn't do, what she said to Susie Wiles, what Wiles said to her, and what Wiles said to Trump. They want to know all of it. They're pushing for it. And there's other things that are finally, stories that are our baby, that are maturing, that are getting older, watching them walk. They're really, really growing up here. They're really maturing, these stories, like the biggest scheme out of the White House ever story. Finally, this is getting some big-time attention. Big attention. Thank God. Thank God. Now, we talked about this story, and I've gotten pretty good at very quickly breaking it down because some of you join me on different days, and I love that my audience knows exactly what happened, because now it's starting to make the news cycle, and you don't have to have a crash course on what they're talking about. You know who the spy sheik is. You know who was involved. You know the numbers and where this money went. And, real quick, I'm going to do it again for anybody who's joining us for the first time. Lawyer Eastman, New York lawyer, high-powered lawyer Eastman, decades-long family friend of Witkoff, our special envoy. Trump's best friend, Witkoff. They're decades-long friends, Eastman, Witkoff. Eastman and Witkoff together are decades-long friends of the UAE royal family. So much so that Eastman sits on the board of a couple of their companies. Before President Trump takes office, about September, Witkoff, Eastman, and Sheikh Tahnoun, the spy Sheikh Tahnoun, Zayed Al Nahyan, they cook up a scheme so everybody can get what they want. Everybody gets what they want in this scheme, okay? A crypto payoff scheme for Sheikh Tahnoun to get advanced NVIDIA chips. and a few other things, according to some reporting that's coming out. So they cook up the scheme. Just before the inauguration in January, the Trump family and the Witkoff family, they come together to form WLF, World Liberty Financial, their company. It's worth a handful of millions of dollars, not a big entity, just a few millions of dollars. As soon as Trump is inaugurated, Sheikh Tanoon, through a company that Eastman is on the board of, gives WLF, Witkoff and Trump's company, $500 million. January. Soon as Trump takes office, Sheikh Tanoon gives Trump $500 million. $250 million, we know where it went. The other $250, we're not quite so sure yet, but we're going to find out. $187 million went to Trump, $31 million went to Witkoff, $31 million went to two other investors. Boom. Trump gets to work. This is the corruption part. At its core, Trump gets the payment. He goes to work for Sheikh Tanoon to pave way for a NVIDIA advanced AI chip sales to the UAE. That is Tanoon's whole deal. We want the advanced NVIDIA chips. Previous administrations, they didn't want the sale because the UAE was in bed with China. Economically, militaristically, they didn't want China getting any of this tech. So the Biden administration said no. Anti-China hawks in the Biden administration said no. When Trump took office, he fired all the Biden-era holdovers, the anti-China hawks, anybody who said no to selling Sheikh Tanoon NVIDIA chips was fired. And our AI czar, David Sachs, announces the chip sales. Sheikh Tanoon gets the NVIDIA chip sales, $500 million worth of sales to the UAE of NVIDIA advanced AI chips at the exact same time. Within 2 weeks of this chip sales to the UAE, Sheikh Tanoon, through one of his two companies, gives $2 billion to Trump and Witkoff's WLF stablecoin. Tanoon buys $2 billion worth of Trump stablecoin, which is basically a $2 billion deposit for Trump and Witkoff. He takes his $2 billion of stablecoin and invests it in CZ, Changpeng Zhao, who, by the way, is a UAE citizen, Changpeng Zhao's Binance, a global crypto exchange. CZ gives Sheikh Tanoon a place to invest his $2 billion and a huge stake in his global crypto exchange. Trump gets $2 billion deposited into his stable coin. Sheikh Tanoon gets the chip sales. What does CZ get? Changpeng Zhao? Well, this guy pled guilty to fraud, money laundering, to the tune of $4.3 billion, does 13 months in prison, is barred from doing any business in the United States, is barred from being the CEO of his own company. What does he get? He gets a Trump pardon. Everybody got what they wanted. Now, here's a part that I find just so delicious. There's been some more reporting about what the UAE got in this deal. Everybody got what they wanted, but the UAE got more. It's so funny because the National Review did some really interesting reporting, and the reporting itself wasn't like crazy in depth or revelatory. It's just who it's coming from. The National Review did in-depth reporting, article after article, about the Biden family corruption. Some of what the National Review did was picked up by congressional Republicans, and they did an impeachment inquiry based on a lot of what the National Review found. And what they found, the congressional Republicans and the National Review, what they found was about $27 million of Biden family corruption. And now the National Review is out here telling you that $27 million we reported on is a rounding error compared to the corruption involved in this exchange. Oh yeah, they went hard. And the National Review, they uncovered a few aspects of what the UAE got out of this deal other than just, $500 million of NVIDIA specialized AI chips. Oh yeah. It talks about the seat at the table in the White House they now command. They're in the ear of all the most influential Republicans and this administration. It looks like the UAE might be guiding a little bit of American policy over the next 3 years. They talk about, the UAE has positioned itself geopolitically in the Middle East to be the leading nation in many regards on the back of this deal. Not to mention all of the advanced technology that China just got their hands on. You think China's not going to be, compelled to pay the UAE back in favors or whatever else? After the UAE shares the most advanced AI technology with them, which they've already done. Also, the UAE, which is crazy, now has a slice of TikTok. Oh, yeah. You remember the TikTok owner kept stiff-arming the American government? Trump likes TikTok, so he went ahead and he stayed the banning of it while they squabbled and fought over the rights to TikTok and trying to make the president of TikTok sell it, right? Well, he did sell it. He had to cut a deal, and now the UAE takes an ownership slice of TikTok on the back of this deal as well. Unreal. And I just thought that was really, really interesting, coming from the National Review, which spends so much time uncovering Biden-era corruption. They're going hard the other way. But they're not the only ones going hard at this little transaction. Finally, the big names are talking about it. The big voices, the big influencers are starting to shine a very bright light on this. And we will be having hearings. People will have to depose themselves, and they will have to answer for a few things. And we're going to hear a whole lot of lying from now till then. That's a promise. But now the big names. Senator Elizabeth Warren, at a Senate committee hearing, the Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs, they had a hearing, and they grilled Scott Bessent, first of many to be grilled on this topic. I promise you that. This thing is rolling now. It's rolling. It's gained steam. It's gained momentum. People are talking about it, and they had a hearing. They grilled Scott Bessent on it, and Warren said a lot of things, including calling on her fellow senators to support a resolution in favor of condemning this entire transaction and reversing it. They want to reverse the crypto exchange. They want to reverse the NVIDIA sales pledge. They want to reverse all of it before it's too late. But it's already too late. I mean, let's be honest. But she wants all of her fellow senators to get on board with this resolution. And Chris Van Hollen, Andy Kim, Alyssa Slotkin, they have already decided they're on board. Let's hear from Elizabeth Warren real quick. This is great at this hearing.
Here we are 1 year into Donald Trump's second term, and Trump has amassed more than $1.5 billion from his crypto ventures like World Liberty Financial. Trump is profiting off the presidency while American families are worrying about their jobs, the rising cost of groceries, and how they're going to pay their bills. Trump is profiting from decisions that make it easier for countries like China to get their hands on some of our most sensitive and advanced technologies. Congress needs to grow a spine. We cannot allow American national security simply to be sold to the highest bidder. The Senate must pass this resolution to condemn this corruption and call on Donald Trump to reverse his decision to allow the export of advanced AI chips to the UAE. I yield the floor, Mr. President.
Okay. Love it. She calls him right out. She calls out the story. Somebody really explained it to Liz. She really has a great grasp on it. The largest corruption scheme out of the White House ever. Unless you count the JFK assassination and the fake moon landing. Kubrick's greatest achievement. No, But seriously, it is the largest corruption scheme out of the White House ever. And like the National Review said, Biden's $27 million in corruption, which never happened, that is a rounding error. A rounding error. And on the end, some of what Warren said, 1.5 billion. No. Let's be really clear. It is $2.5 billion worth of payment to Trump's family. $500 million in January from G42. And $2 billion worth of stablecoin from MGX, both chic to noon companies. It's $2.5 billion. We're coming back for just a little bit of overtime. I want to bring a little ditty about Howard Lutnick.
It's time for a quick break, then we break some more. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things. You're back with Brett Breaks Things, because democracy doesn't defend itself.
All right, so let's catch up with Howard Lutnick, our Commerce Secretary, real quick. The charming gentleman that said, we're gonna cut your grandmother's Medicaid funding, and then if she complains about it or mentions it, we know that she's one of the fraudsters. Only true Americans would shut their mouths and just have their Medicaid cut and be happy with it. Remember that? That's him. That's that Howard Lutnick. This guy's a big, close friend to all the movers and shakers we've talked about, ended up our Commerce Secretary. He's also frequently mentioned in the Epstein files. And this release, this recent tranche, has proven him to be a flat-out liar. He went and he told CNN, I live next door to him. Of course I did at one point, and there's only a wall separating us. So he invited me over to dinner, and I'm paraphrasing here. He invited me over to dinner, and we were having a nice time, and then I noticed a massage table in the room, and I asked him about that, and he said it's for special kinds, or the correct kind of massages, the right kind of massages, and I was creeped out. So I had coffee and left, and I told my wife, never again, and I never went there again, and that was it. He's a despicable person, and I never talked to him again. Except, Howard, now that these reports have come out, now that the Epstein files have been released, you invited Epstein to a Hillary Clinton fundraiser in 2015. This is among a few mentions, but just some real concrete ones. You invited Epstein in 2015 to a fundraiser for Hillary Clinton. And in 2012, you contacted Epstein and requested coordinates for Little St. James Island so Howard Lutnick could give them to his boat captain and they could meet up with you. You're a liar. And Massey, Republican, who I like hearing from over the last year, he went on CNN and he talked about it. He's bringing a little light to the fact that not only is our Commerce Secretary Lutnick incriminatingly in the files hundreds of thousands of times, but he also lied about it already. And so, on CNN's Inside Politics, he was asked if Lutnick, who the file shows having planned meetings with Epstein a number of times, should testify. CNN asked Massey, should Lutnick testify? Don't forget Massey's a Republican. Massey said no. He should just resign. There are 3 people in Great Britain that have already resigned that are involved in politics over this. Lutnick's, I told you what he said. Never going to talk to him again. And then he comes out in the file well after that 2005 dinner that he lied about. Okay. The Commerce Department spokesman said just last month, Secretary Lutnick had limited interactions with Mr. Epstein in the presence of his wife and has never been accused of wrongdoing. So far, Lutnick has not been accused directly of wrongdoing. It is important to add that, not directly. Massey said Lutnick has a lot to answer for, but really he should just make life easier on the president and resign. He says the Democrats want to make this about Trump, and the Republicans want to make it about Clinton. He says, I just want to make it about the survivors and transparency and the truth. That's how you do it. That's how you do it, Massey. What does Trump say about this little Lutnick scandal? Trump said to Caitlin Collins, Caitlin, you know and love Caitlin, she pressed Trump about Lutnick and Elon being mentioned so many times in the Epstein files. And what did Trump say to that? He said, I'm sure they're fine. Otherwise, it would have made major headlines. Well, guess what, Don? It's kind of making major headlines. Of course, he's going to sit there and tell you, You're not hearing what you're hearing. You're not seeing what you're seeing, which is the whole world freaking out about people within our administration being named thousands of times in the Epstein files. He's telling you that's not a major headline. Even though it is a major headline and it's all you're hearing right now, it's not a major headline. You don't have to believe the fake news media. Just believe me. Nothing to see here. Move on. Okay, Don. Got it. What about James Comer? Why him? Because he's the House Oversight Chairman, right? And it doesn't look like he has any plans to bring Lutnick in, closed door or public or otherwise in any way. Comer said this: Lutnick, it's my understanding that what he has said publicly is that he went to one of Epstein's properties with his wife and children. Okay, well, James, Mr. Comer, your weaponized DOJ and your weaponized FBI just released files proving our Commerce Secretary is lying. So why are you quoting the lies? When asked about, will you bring Lutnick in to answer for any of this, you just repeat his lies? Holy crap. You want to talk about absolutely no intention of holding this administration to account. Not only that, they are facilitating their lies. They're repeating the lies that have just been proven to be lies. I mean, that's the response we get from the oversight chair. It's mind-blowing, to be honest with you. That's where we're at. That's how weaponized our government is. And by the way, the good times, they just keep rolling for Mr. Lutnick. Now, this is early. This is some of that early reporting. But there's another whistleblower. Yep, there's another whistleblower from within Howard Lutnick's firm, Cantor Fitzgerald. That's Howard Lutnick's firm, his venture firm, Cantor Fitzgerald. Well, there is a whistleblower who has come out and said, not only do I have proof of his decades-long money laundering, but I have documentation and I'll testify. Okay. All right. Well then, gotta love these whistleblowers, which is why Pam Bondi's weaponization working group, one of their main priorities is to peel back protections for whistleblowers and come up with, common sense legislation to punish them. Great. Now you know why they're making that a priority, right? Because now our Commerce Secretary, our weaponized friend of Trump Commerce Secretary, another whistleblower, now this time on Howard. Oh, yeah. And details of his reporting of this complaint are pretty shocking. Pretty shocking. Now, I'm not going to bring you all the details. We're in overtime. I'm not going to take up a ton of your time. But here's some of the things that whistleblower had to say about Howard Lutnick's venture firm, Cantor Fitzgerald. Okay. First, they're flat out clear that Cantor Fitzgerald, which lost a ton of employees on 9/11, they have run charity foundations that were supposedly for 9/11 victims and causes. And what it really was a giant Ponzi scheme and money laundering apparatus this entire time. Since then till now, he's been laundering money through his 9/11 charities. That's the big one. That's the documentation this person has. That is what he is ironclad about. But there's other claims in here that are pretty shocking. This person goes on to talk about when the big banks broke up. Bear Stearns, a lot of the Bear Stearns people, they went to work for Cantor Fitzgerald, some for a company called BGC International, and some for a Russian hedge fund. And they're saying this BGC International is the parent company to a whole bunch of shady crap, including this Russian hedge fund, BlackRock, JP Morgan Chase. They're all wrapped up in money laundering. And the entity that they're laundering money for is the Russian mafia. So they're saying ex-Bear Stearns board members this BGC International, which is a subsidiary of Cantor Fitzgerald. Also, Paul Manafort's Renaissance Capital, Friendo Russia, Paul Manafort. His company, Renaissance Capital, is also a subsidiary of BGC International, which is a subsidiary of Cantor Fitzgerald, Lutnick's company. This dude's basically saying in this report, he's saying Lutnick has been laundering money through his charities for decades, and he's been laundering money for the Russian mafia for decades. Yikes. That could get fun. Just to finish out today's show, and believe me, we'll have more reporting on that Lutnick story. I can't wait. That's the early reporting, right? You know how these things go here on Brett Breaks Things. We get the early reporting, and then we start to sink our teeth in. Oh, my God. That's going to be wonderful. Just to put a cap on the show, Ghislaine went before the Oversight Committee. Pled the fifth, over and over and over again, pled the fifth. Because Congress did not give her immunity in these hearings. So she pled the fifth over and over and over again. And she made a cute little comment after. And her cute little comment was, if the president grants me clemency, not only will I divulge everything I know, but I'll clear his name as well. Waiting to hear from you, Mr. President. We'll see what he does with that. Thanks, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.